Okay, welcome back to another episode of Vintage Fly Tying. Today we're going to try to reproduce my father's red quill dry fly. It's a Catskill style dry fly. This is the exact fly that he tied over 50 years ago. And he had several in his box. All pretty well show the wear over time. Pretty well dry rotted on the end here, you can see, and the hackles beat up. But we're going to try to reproduce one and bring it back to its original state. Okay, let's get to tying this fly. What we have in the vise is a number 12 standard dry fly hook. Thread we're going to be using is a 75 denier. Brand is called Royal Sissy. It's like a silk thread, but it's a synthetic. Lays nice and flat. Our wing material is going to be wood duck. What we're going to do is cut the center right at the stem there. Now we're going to have two wings. We'll just go ahead and pull this back. On either side. And you'll have something that ends up like that. This will be your wing. What you want to do is fold it over top of itself. Alright, now what we're going to do is a pinch wrap. You're going to place your wood duck feather right on top of the hook shank. I'm going to make sure the length is just about a little longer than what you need. We can always pull it back just a little bit. Pull your thread straight up, pinch it in between your fingers, pull it down the other side, pull it straight up, and pull it right out from in between your fingers and pull it down the other side there. Make sure it looks pretty good there, and it does. Give it a couple wraps without trying to move it around too much. Pull your wing up, a couple wraps in front. Couple wraps behind, and go ahead and cut it away. We'll divide that here in a minute. Take your thread, wrap it back to about the top of the shank of the hook, right before the bend. Okay, from here, what you want to do is take a hackle feather that has rather stiff barb whorls. Go ahead, pinch them off the stem there. There's little curlicues. Go ahead, trim those away. Go ahead, spin your thread up if it's been sitting there unraveling on you. Makes it easier to capture everything. It looks pretty good. We're missing a couple of the barb whorls, but it actually looks pretty good. Alright. Now from here, what you want to do is go up underneath the feather, or up underneath your tail. Pull it back. It's going to splay it out a little bit. Alright, looks good. Now we're going to take a stem from a hackle feather that we stripped all the barb whorls off. We're going to tie it in. This is going to make the abdomen. This is going to make the abdomen. Take it all the way back to the beginning of the tail. And straight back up to right behind the wing. And here's where we're going to split the wing. Take equal amounts of the wing. How's that look? Maybe just a little more on this side here. Alright, that's about equal amounts. Take your thread, turn it so you can see what's going on here. Take your thread and do a figure 8 right between the two. Turn it over. Couple wraps in front. Pull the whole wing back. Couple wraps in front. And now we're going to do a figure 8 around the other side of the wing. Pull some thread out. It helps if you have a little more thread out to run over it. And there you go. Take your wing, pull it straight up. A couple thread wraps in front. Now you have your wing separated. Take your thread and pull it behind the wing and park it there. And now you're going to wrap your body up. If you have a vise that's not rotary, you can hand over hand it. But if you have a rotary vise, it's a little easier. Just go ahead and spin it up and try to keep it touching. Try to avoid the point of that hook too. You clip it pretty good, you're going to cut this. My father's original recipe for wrapping these stems, it was to soak them overnight in water to make them a little more supple. This saddle that I'm working off of is actually pretty supple. It's pretty fresh. So I didn't see a need to do that. Every couple turns I back that thread off again because it's wrapping up. You can use your bobbin rest, but I find it just as easy to do it this way here. It makes me take my time and do a little better job at it. Alright, now that we're here, go ahead and wrap it off. Do about 4 turns to capture it. Go ahead and cut that away. From here we're going to tie in our hackle feather. What I did is I already prepped it. I cut the very few feathers off the end of it and made it a crew cut there. This is going to help me secure it with the thread. And then I pinched a little bit of the barb reels off of either side. This is it's going to help it lay down nice and flat as we start it. So go ahead and lay your hackle feather. You want the dull side facing you. Go ahead and wrap it. Give it a couple wraps there to start it. Pull your feathers back. A couple wraps. Go ahead and trim that little piece off there. Alright. Go ahead and park your thread. And now, when you start wrapping, you want the dull side. This side, you got a dull side and you got a shiny side. You want the dull side to face forward. You're going to give it 2 or 3 turns behind. Make sure you get it right in there without capturing any of that wing. Pull that wing back. We're going to give it 2 or 3 turns in front. I'm going to put on my hackle pliers here. This hackle feather is getting a little short. A couple times I've used it already. Go ahead, pull it straight up. Could do one more. And you can go ahead and wrap it off. I'm going to have about 4 turns to tie it off here. Go ahead and cut the stem away. Nice and close. Don't cut the thread. And from here, you can do one of 2 things. You can either put a half hitch on it, or if you have room, you can go ahead and do a whip finish. We're going to do a half hitch. I normally do a whip finish, but we're going to do a half hitch here. What I have is a half hitch tool, an old ballpoint pen from a local bar and grill. Just wrap the thread around the ballpoint pen. Do not push the pen too far onto the fly. You don't want to ruin that hackle. Do one more. We'll do 2 of them. Go ahead, pull it tight. Not too tight, don't want to break the thread. This thread is real easy to break. It's nice to work with because it lays super flat. Go ahead, cut it away. How's that look? Looks pretty good. I'll show you the wing here. Nice equal distance between the wing there. Pretty even on the hackle. Go ahead and take your small bodkin. Put a little dab on the tip. And go ahead and spread it around that thread there. Do a little more. It's UV finish I'm using. You can use Sally Hansen's or anything else that you want, but a little UV here will zap it up and I'll be done with it. Go ahead, take your UV light. Now I've tried to tie this fly with UV finish on the abdomen and it is too heavy for it. Makes the fly too dense and it does not float as well as it should. This here will float all day long. So there you go. You have a red quill dry fly. It's a Catskill style dry fly. It's my father's favorite. He made a lot of these, tied them up. Always talks about them. Always asks me if I'm tying one up yet, and now I can finally tell him I did. So there you go, Dad. Here's your fly. Alright. If you like these videos, please click subscribe. If you have any comments, please leave me a comment. Give me a like. If you don't like the way I tied it or anything I did about the video, let me know. Comment about that too. I'm always interested in hearing what folks think about it. Pretty solid fly to fish. It is a real good searcher fly. You can, if you don't know what they're hitting on that day, see the fish rising, I'd put this on first. Alright, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.